Okay, good. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight and trying something different today. What I say is we're going to talk about football. Now, I always say that I tell people a while that I'm not a footballer. I say that I'm a wagonist. A wagonist is somebody that jump on a bandwagon at times, and I don't watch football and I don't really get into cricket. My father always said to me that I'm the only son that he can't talk cricket with, but anything to do with breakdance, politics, and those sort of things, that's me. But there's been very interesting discussions, interesting times after the recent World Cup, I mean, Euro 2020. And I said to myself, why not tonight just have a platform and just open it up for different persons to come on and to talk about this particular topic, this particular issue. We've got great footballers. UK and England have actually reached to a crucial moment, breaking the deadlock, and almost took it home. I was saying to someone today that actually, really and truly, really, we did not say when we're going to take it home. We just say we're going to take it home. So really and truly, somehow we were spot on that says we are taking it home. So without further ado, I'm going to have a good show tonight. And if you want to come in tonight to the discussion, what I'm going to suggest is that you send me a message or whatever like that. There's a link. I can bring you in. I know people on Instagram, you're there, people on Facebook, people on YouTube. If you want to come in and to have a part of a discussion, all I can say is I will bring you on, but you got to send me a message and we can send you a link without a doubt. But first, without any order, I'm going to bring in my good man. Hey, how are you, buddy?
Hey, what's up? How you doing, Silver? I
I'm
didn't
cool.
even know I was alive. You had me on there. I just looked up and saw myself.
I was going to take you on, man. That's all right. How are you doing, buddy?
What's happening?
Yeah, I'm cool. I said to myself, let's just go live. Let's go live, in talking about some key issues because there'll be many voices around. Darren, you got a voice as well. I want to make sure that all contenders, all ideas come into this issue because this is a very serious issue. But I see at the same time as a community, we've got to be careful that we are focused and being very strategic at this time when it comes on to racism, when it comes on to football. Because one of the things that I was thinking about when I start with this premise, there's a saying that if a tree falls in a forest and no one hears it and it's late in the middle of the night, did that tree make a sound? Now, you're a man who deals with wood and deal with your hands and stuff like that. What do you say about that? Did the tree make a sound?
Of course the tree make a sound.
Did you hear it?
You don't have to. Well, you don't have to be there to hear it. But it made the sound, innit?
Yeah. Now that's interesting. What you said, it made a sound. But the big question is, who heard the sound?
Yeah. That was that. There you go. Yeah. So it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, and who can report the sound?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
So we take that on the premise here. But anyway, what's your take on the football of recent days and the latest
football? Well, I'm like you. I'm the bandwagonist. I watch football when the World Cup comes around.
Yeah,
I watch football. I pick a side to support. Usually is England, but the World Cup they don't tend to get very far. So you have to pick a couple of teams along the way.
Yeah.
I don't support any Premiership League football teams. Never have since I was a small child. To be honest, when I went to the Caribbean at a young age, I got disconnected from football and I got into basketball. So I kind of lost in touch with football when from a youngster. So I never really got back into it when I came back to the UK. So
yes,
I mean the Euros. I enjoyed the Euros. I watched maybe 3 games. I think I watched the last 2 England games, and I watched the France. I think it was France and Switzerland game. And Britain done well. Better than they've done, obviously, we know, for a long time.
Yes.
They almost took it. We're excited for them. But what I find, though, unfortunate is that all the achievements of the team, all the footballers, the managers, Gareth Southgate, the white footballers, the black footballers, the young footballers. Right now, it's unfortunate. All their achievements, in my opinion, are being overshadowed by this whole racism issue discussion. I feel like more energy and fuel is being given to, in my opinion, again, the few troublemakers that will always be there. No matter what you try to do, they will always be there. And I feel like they're taking the limelight right now away from the achievements of all the great guys who played for England.
Yeah,
I just feel like it's an unfortunate thing. Me personally, not everybody agrees with that. Some people think, what we need to be talking about right now is racism in football and so on. But I was watching a video earlier today, actually, with John Barnes being interviewed, which I found was very interesting. He said that this is an issue that really and truly it's a societal issue, and it's an issue that you have to tackle on a societal level. And if you deal with it in societal level, then it's dealt with in football. But you can't stop people from being racist in football and then expect people are racist in the society, and then when they get to football, they're going to stop. You know what I mean? It's like it's a bigger issue than just football and protecting footballers and so on. It's a larger issue. So
somebody in Jamaica, a mate of mine that I went to school with, he actually sent me a message, and what he said was that there's no such thing as racism in football. Racism is a conduct, behavior, and words of low-life people, ill-mannered people. No such thing as racism in football. But I guess you and I guess in the UK, we got to recognize that racism in football we speak about is not just a football playing, but is supporters. All of those come together to make the big football fraternity, isn't it? The fans play a big part in it. The management play a big part in it. So it's not just kicking the football and the footballers around, Yeah. One of the things that I've been seeing though is a lot of fair enough. I mean, if there's racism, one cannot tolerate it. One cannot condone it at all. But do you think that at times things are a bit going overboard where we become reactory or react too quickly to a few individuals? Because there's one or two particular tweets which I keep seeing doing the rounds. And I keep saying, what if that is stopped and not in the round? Does it give power to the person who actually was the architect or the author of the tweet? Don't know what your takes on that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's exactly how I feel. I feel that, as I was saying, that I was fortunate that these so much energy has been given to a minority of people. The reality is, if you look at the tweets that have been going out, as you said, it's a couple of tweets, couple of individuals that have been shared 1 million times. And what that does is you take 2-3 tweets and you share them 1 million times, it becomes 3 million tweets.
Yes.
And it's like it's actually a handful, maybe not a handful, I maybe exaggerating here, but what I mean is it's a relatively minority of people who are out there putting this type of ridiculous stuff on social media. And when we make it out like these few people represent the whole country, they represent all football fans, they represent, everybody else out there watching football. It's ridiculous because we come to conclusions like I've seen a lot of people, particularly black people, saying things like, oh, this is why I don't want England to win the football. I hope they never win. All these different type of things. And the reality is you have the same black footballers that you say you're supporting, Raheem Sterling and Marcus Rashford and Saka, all these different people. You're basically saying you don't want them to win. And these men put their heart and soul into football, trying their best to achieve and to win football for themselves. They have their own dreams and aspirations to win Euro. And if you're out there saying, oh, we don't want England to win because of some fans, you are basically cursing these young men who are out there doing the work on the field. The fans are not doing the work. It's the fellas that's been training for years and years and putting in the work to make it to win the championship, and then you go out there ignorantly saying, "Oh, I don't want England to win." It's bigger than that. It's bigger than a few idiots in the stand.
Yes.
They are not the English football team. They're not putting in the hard work to make it to the Euros. But you want to be down on say you don't want England to win. And really and truly, you're actually against these young black men. I want England to win because these guys want to win. It's the fact that you see Saka crying when he missed. It shows you how important this thing was to them.
Or passionate he is regarding the game.
So for myself, I wanted them to win the game. I don't care about a few ignorant fans out there. But the vast majority of the fans also wanted them to win as well. And do want them to win. You know, I was discussing this yesterday. And I had to go and do some research because I did a YouTube video about this yesterday. And I went to the young man Saka's Instagram page to see what was going on. And the most recent tweet that he Instagram post, he had like 1 million likes on it.
Yes.
Which is 3 times more than his average other post gets. And he's something like 300,000 comments. And I'm scrolling through the comments. And all I'm seeing is love and love and love for the guy.
Yes.
And you have to really go dig if you want to find a negative comment.
Yes.
Through that, you really have to go looking for it hard. So for people to make it like this is what's going on, it's not what's going on. It's a minority of people.
So therefore, the question is this: why those 1 or 2 or 3 tweets, which has been shared so much, has grown to this level of momentum that we're missing out on the millions of positive comments, Darren?
Listen, Selborn, you know I'm a straight up person. I speak it how I see it.
Yes.
But there's a lot of reasons. Misery love company. There's some people, they're out there and they're looking for anything that's anti-black. And I'm talking about black people here. For them to put it out there and see, I told you, they don't like us. And also you have politics involved in this. There are people who are hustling us as black people and constantly trying to keep division amongst us, amongst the races, and it's all for political gain. Half the time it's for votes, for people to stay in their power and in their positions of influence.
Yes.
We can keep black people in a place where we always feel like we are the one that everyone's against. When someone puts their arm around you and says, you know, vote for me, I'll look after you. We vote for them and they don't look after us. And this is what happens, and it's been happening for a long time. So we as black people have to stop looking too much to negativity. We have so much positive things going on. The fact that you had at one time maybe 5 black young men on the English football team on the pitch at the same time, down to the age of 19 years old. You could look at the Gareth Southgate. Okay, look at Gareth Southgate. He gave just before the end of the extra time. Gareth Southgate knew this is going to go to penalties, right?
Yes.
You could see he started to do substitutions. He brought Rashford in. He brought Sancho in. And the reason why he brought them in is because if he didn't bring them on before the end of time, they wouldn't be able to take the penalties.
Yes.
And his plan was to get them to take the penalties because you take your best shooters. Now, for me, you can look at that and say, well, that's a positive thing in that Gareth Southgate has confidence in these young black men, even Saka, to put him to take the penalty. And if it had gone the right way around and they had scored, they would now be in an opportunity to be such heroes in England.
Yes.
So I look at it as a positive, and I say, you know what? They believed in the young black men. He gave them the opportunity on the pitch.
Yes.
And it just depends on how you decide to look at something. Half full and half empty. It's up to you. But I tend to look at it in a positive way. That's how I look at it anyway.
Well, listen, let me introduce Ryan Gordon. How are you?
I'm fine, Selborn. How are you, sir?
Not bad. I know you're coming from the football pitch now, isn't it?
I am indeed.
Yeah, Ryan Gordon is a coach. Ryan, just give a brief intro because you do it much quicker than I do.
Thank you. Good to see everybody.
Yes.
My name is Ryan Gordon. I'm a professional football coach. I've been coaching 25 years, working in from grassroots, academy, semi-professional, professional football. I've worked at clubs like Arsenal, Norwich, AFC Wimbledon, Barnet, Maidstone. I'm currently head of football at the University of East London, and I'm a alumni from UEL. I have a undergrad degree sport and exercise science and a master's degree in applied positive psychology and coaching psychology. So effectively what I do is I combine academic education with my professional experience. I've traveled all over the world, America, USA, and really, I'm the first black coach or first coach to graduate from UEL with my master's degree. And I'm hoping to do a PhD. I've got huge ambitions. Father, 2 children, single. And, it's I love football. It's something that I'm really passionate about. And, I've known Silburn a long time. Great guy, and we've been meaning to work together for a long time, haven't we, Silburn?
Yeah, that's fantastic. So tell us, just your views on football before we get into the key aspect regarding the tackling racism in football and tackling racism period. Because what I want to get somewhat at some point is, how do you deal with something which is not going to go away? How do you deal with it while it is here, But for your overview of the football in here on the recent tournament, Ryan.
Do you know what an amazing tournament? The year we've had, or the last 16, 18 months we've had with COVID, so on and so forth, an incredible tournament that brought the economy together. It gave somebody or people throughout Europe and the world really something to really take their minds off the economic and social predicament that we're in. But I'll say the players, all credit to the players, the staff, UEFA, the referees. I think the standard of refereeing was excellent. I think some of the football was outstanding. And, I will say, a huge salute to Christian Eriksen, and credit to the staff and the medical staff who helped him. I think, to save a man's life on a pitch at Euros, it's humbling to see as a coach, for me to experience one of my players going through, I don't know how I feel emotionally. But, England, wow, I think they've done absolutely incredible to get to the stages that they got to the final, effectively. But Italy, I was speaking to a former England coach who worked with Fabio Capello, and he said, England done brilliantly over the whole tournament. And it's Gareth Southgate, what a leader. And I'll say he's as far as leadership is concerned, forward thinking, dynamic. He brought the country together, he brought unity in the team. You can listen to some of his leadership principles and how he engages with the players, and he had that calm demeanor. And there's a lot of respect for Gareth. He
said he should run for the prime ministership of the country and unify everybody.
I'm not getting involved in politics, Silburn. I'm a football coach. Thank you.
But listen, meet Darren Lewis there. Darren Lewis, my good mate as well. We just want to share different ideas as well. But what's your take now? You've been there, you've been in, and you have your stories which you may want to share or not. With the level of racism which has been meted out to the young guys, then, this is something which has happened with the likes of the Johnny Barnes, Rio Ferdinand, Les Ferdinand. They all been through it. And it's like the young chap now, these young guys now are sort of on the shoulders of those past persons, isn't it? What's your sort of take on this whole attack on them being to the fact that they missed the penalty? Because Beckham got it, Southgate got it, but they had their colours, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen, as a football coach who is black, listen, I wholeheartedly, what's the word I'm looking for? Let me be nice. You know, I disagree with why these men. Put say they need to find a weakness. Okay, I'm going to be honest and transparent.
Yeah.
Listen, out of emotion, negative emotion, people are going to say things. If those 3 black players had scored the penalties, they would have been held as heroes. They would have been knighted. You know, they would have been. You know, it wouldn't have been. You blah blah blah. You know, come on, mate, come with me. And the economy, the perspective on black footballers would have changed. Would there have been more acceptance of us as black footballers or black coaches? So for me, the lack of intelligence. If you know, it's very important that at the same time we don't turn around and glorify what they do. But I think, personally speaking, it's despicable the feedback that these players are getting. And the reason why I say that is the players who are given the abuse, have they ever pulled on an England shirt? Have they ever even played for their country?
Yeah.
Have they even ever played at high level football? These guys are giving their life and everything, and have given their life to represent their country, and a character and personality it takes to actually step up, not just in front of 67,000 or however many at Wembley, but knowing that worldwide. And these are young men, you know, these are young men. So for me, huge credit to, you know, Sancho. They won't be the first people to miss a penalty. They won't be the last people, but it's an easy cop out to target the color of their skin as a reason for them, or to justify the reason why they missed the penalty. It's just a cop out, and it's a lack of intelligence. It's a lack of education. But then they're a product of their environment. They're a product of their culture. They're a product of their upbringing. You know, and if these people don't know, you know, I study positive psychology. I integrate well-being and behaviors and feelings and emotions into my coaching, and you know, and unfortunately, when you're working with community, or people or players in the community, you have to have an understanding of their background. You know, I've been in the army myself, you know, in Her Majesty's forces, and you know, I'm a former full-time soldier, you know, and I remember, and this isn't a criticism, this is just people who I was, you know, talking with and soldiering with. Some of them would say to me, "Ron, we've actually never seen," and this is in England, "we've actually never seen a black person live." And here I am coming from London, and I'm sharing, and it's not a criticism, I'm just saying these are experiences that we went through. And if these people don't know any, they're not any wiser, then I think that for the critics, they should get, you know, I mean, I'm going to say this. Boris Johnson said these people should be ashamed. I'm thinking, if that's all you're going to say, that they should be ashamed, that's not enough, because being ashamed isn't going to really affect someone who's at the height of their negative emotion, angry, vitriolic in their mouth, who are prepared to type and write. They've got no cognitive dissonance. Okay, they're not having any feeling about it. They're just writing out of anger and emotion and negative emotion. It's not good enough. So I think,
Can I just ask, and I put that to Darren, based on what Ryan just said a while ago, what do you think is somewhat the sort of solution? Because, you know, freedom of speech and freedom of expression is something which we cherish so dearly. And I have been taken down from social media platform based on discussions, which are nice discussions, but we're just discussing things which people don't want maybe to hear. And they're saying that you're free to say what you want to say, but you cannot use my platform. All right. Is it fair to say that you cannot stop these persons, but is it that the social media platform need to do something more? Or once a person speak and saying it out there, it is lots of people who have captured, they screenshot these clips and they share it worldwide. Dan, what do you think? How do you think one can stop this racism?
It's a really, really complicated issue. There's so much nuances to it. It's not something that you have to think a lot about before.
Yeah.
I mean, even those who will make policy. I know I heard today in the news that Boris Johnson was meeting with these social media companies to talk about, doing more about this. And obviously policies come out of these things. But what we have to be very careful about is knee-jerk reactions. And often when you have something like this, an issue that's come up and it's the talk, everyone's talking about it, it's a big issue. Sometimes people can go, oh, we need to do this and we need to do this, and we can jump into action and not really think of the repercussions. Because one thing we do have to be careful about is anything that takes away of our rights as human beings. So it's something we have to tread carefully with. I more like the idea with that you say the platform, because far as I'm concerned, when it comes to freedom of speech, I'm the type of person, I believe wholeheartedly in freedom of speech. And I personally believe that any human being should be allowed to say whatever they want. That as a right. You should be able to open your mouth and say whatever you want. Now, there may be consequences that comes with what you say, but you also have to be willing to bear those consequences. But I think when it comes to a private entity like, say, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I believe they also have the rights to treat you how they want to, a result of what you say. They might want to ban you from the platform. And I feel that they have the rights to do that as a private entity. As long as it's not a public, entity. If it's a private entity, they should be able to say, these are guidelines. Freedom of speech exists. You can say whatever you want. However, these are our guidelines. And if you break our guidelines, we can remove you from there. Then we go into criminal elements where we come into hate crimes and so on. And some of these things may fall under hate crimes and the government has to get involved. And I'm fully supporting that as well. But I just think it's something we have to navigate very carefully of how what we wish for and what we ask for. Because some of those things can come back to bite us all in some other way. You know what I mean? This is a very tricky one, I think, anyway. One to be taken with caution.
Ryan, how do you protect your young Black players? Lots of young boys out there. When I go to walk in the park on a weekend, lots of them are out there. My son loves football, and they're seeing this happening. At the same time, the footballers, they're actually flourishing, but of course they're getting the attack. Lewis Hamilton, he gets the attack. I tag Raheem Sterling at times. He's okay. I know Ian Wright, you can't tag him anymore because he has been getting a lot of attacks, so he does allow that. How do you protect these players? What do you say to protect them?
Everything, a lot of things always starting from the bottom up. I think I prefer to work from the top down, and it's got to come from the leadership. Okay, for me,
the leadership of the football or the country, or what is it? Football?
Well, leadership of the country, leadership in football. It's got to come. It's all well and good. Saying that's wrong, that's a shame, but maybe change it. Look at the policy and procedures. What policies are in place? What policies have been in that's going to allow these bigots, and I'm going to call them bigots, to be saying what they're saying. And I always think when I look at the social media platforms, if I drive on the road and I park in the wrong bay at the wrong time, I'm going to get a £75 ticket in my door within 3 days without even knowing. So
Yes.
I think on these social media platforms, the social media platforms should be fined if they're having racism continuously posted on their platform, and then whoever's posted on a platform should receive a fine. Because only until you hit these guys in a pocket or hit them with their time or hit them with their work, then it's going to have an effect on them. Because just talking and saying, you know,
crawl back where you come from.
yeah, exactly. It's not going to have any impact. You need to be having impact, and you know, and also sitting down with can you see me here? Yeah, sitting down with people. Yeah, sitting down with people and saying to them, look, this is the you know, we need to sit around the table and say, look, have a discussion with people in industry and saying, look, how are we going to change this? And we've had a talk, take the knee, do this. But taking a knee is creating, listen, it's good to a point, but is it having a desired effect? You know, is it, you know, I can go around on a pitch, I coach, and I can take the knee and people can see it, but is it really having a mindset change? Is it having a behavior change? People are having an awareness of why people are taking the knee, but it still doesn't stop people giving it some on the touchline or through Twitter or whatever it is, or on Instagram. You know, so I think they probably need to look a little bit deeper and a little bit closer and making some changes that are going to have an impact on people, and only then, when it has an impact, then you're going to see, look, you posted a tweet and it contained the N-word, you know, you're going to get £75 fine for whatever. You know, it's got to believe you me, if I park wrong on the road, I get a £75 ticket. I'm conscious that I'm not going to be parking and make sure I park my ticket, or make sure that I'm, you know, that's my experiences. You know, if I keep walking through a door and I keep banging my head on a door without ducking, right, I'm gonna, you know, and I don't learn that lesson. The problem is there's going to be something wrong with me if I'm not learning the lessons.
Yeah.
And if these guys are not learning the lessons from what they're doing, how are you going to change it? But it's embedded in their culture. In their cultures, who they are and what they represent. And if that's who they are and what they represent, and they're having their meetings saying we're going to call him and Saka and all this, it came out so quickly that they didn't even have any thoughts or feelings. He missed a penalty. Within 10 seconds, he received dog's abuse for missing a penalty, you know, but you can't blame him. They're looking for someone to blame, and
yes.
I feel for the boy.
Darren want to come in there,
Yeah, just because this is conversation that's been happening for a while about the internet, social media platforms, and how we police them. And you know, Brian gave an example of, you know, getting a ticket and you speed and you get the ticket in a couple of days' time. We all know that happens. But the reason that happens is because we are essentially connected to the government. The government has all our details, social security, national insurance, all these different things. We are basically subjects of the country. But the issue is with private entities, and the argument that's been had lately is that the only way, because social media works by anonymity, and we all have to now not be anonymous anymore. Everyone has to know who we are. We have to give all our details to the social media companies. That's the only way they're going to find you to penalize you, because you just create a fake account, or people can put whatever name on their social media account if they want. But the only way they're going to criminalize to get you is they need to have all your details. And we have to now be willing to give it all to these private entities, which many of us are not going to want to do. I'm not going to want to do that. So we have to give away some of our freedoms, which is why I said it's a tricky one, because we have to consider all consequences for us to get the result that we want. Now, for instance, you mentioned the N-word, and this is where I say this whole thing is problematic, because let's say if a white person goes on Twitter today and says the N-word, that person can be penalized for that. But we have people, we have black people using the N-word on the internet all the time. You have, it's funny. I'm on YouTube. You get flagged and you get your videos and get strike on your videos. A white person if you use the N-word in conversation. But we got lots of music on YouTube that has the N-word used in it. So is it the word that's the problem, or is it the person who uses it? So we have a kind of a situation where things are just not consistent. And unless we bring some consistency, we're going to have a problem, because when it comes to the N-word, either we say nobody uses the N-word. It's an offensive word and nobody uses it.
Yeah.
Or we have freedom of speech and everybody can use it. Because if we don't get these things consistent, we can't move anywhere with all this stuff. You know, it's very inconsistent at the moment.
But how a person receives it is really key, because listen, if a guy, a brother says the N-word to another guy, you know, black guy, whatever, so it's acceptable. Whereas if a white guy says it to another black guy, well, you can't say that, you know. So for me, it's you know, we're products of our environment, you know, but you know,
what if I don't like it? What if I, as a black man, say in that
I
song,
don't like it.
the word is being used derogatory, because there's many black music where the N-word is used derogatory. When you have these gangster music, they call this one the N-word. It's using a negative connotation. But I don't like it. So why is it there?
Yeah. Well, let us bring in from the States, Vita Ferguson. Vita, how are you? Wait, what?
You hear me?
I had to give you a good introduction. How are you doing?
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, Vita. I mean, you're in the States and you've been watching the football, and you're giving me a hard time when you saw that England was doing well. You said okay, and then you started to laugh after me after a while when things went bad. What's your take? I know you have a short time. What's your take on this whole discussion here and your perspective? I know you're watching and seeing what's happening after the loss and the kickback effect on the footballers.
Well, first, thank you for bringing me on. And I must say, the two men, that Ryan and Darren, I must say, you guys are so intelligent. I really respect and really love listening to you guys. So let me say that, to see a positive, and I'm going to use the word black because we've been brainwashed to say that. I don't believe in racism. But the fact that the minute that the game ended, I texted you and I said, wow. And your thought was like, I hope they don't get the feedback as far as the negative feedback. And I know it was going to happen, because living in America and go through the racism every day with the police, and even when I walk into boardrooms, I'm the only black woman, and the way I'm looked at, you know, and that's from the top up. Ryan mentioned that it should be from the top up. It shouldn't be from the from bottom up. But the fact is that it is from top up, whether we want to believe it or not. It is from top up. What we can do now is to show them positiveness. Do not share the negativeness that's going around. Just be positive and share the positiveness about them. And that's what we have to do. Here in America, the racism, it is so strong. You're afraid to walk outside of your home. You don't know if you're going to make it back home. That's what we are facing. So my take on this is, let's just be positive and share just positiveness for these young men, because the negativity is coming from the top, whether you want to believe it or not.
So what you're saying, Vita, is the tweet is out there. It's in cyberspace, but we have a responsibility as to what we do with it.
Yes.
We can shut it down, or we can share it.
Shut it down, because the more people, and I think Darren mentioned this before, the more people you send it to, is the more people going to see it, is the more negativity we're going to see from that. So every time you see the negative, delete it, post a positiveness. That's all. We have to start interacting with it now, because it's from the top up. What are we going to do? Well, you all know in America it's from the top up, from the top down. So what we need to do is to share the positiveness. And these young men, 19 years old, he was put under the pressure that he was put under was an amazing. If he had made that gold, he would have been a celebrity. He would have been the person we all talking about over the world. The same person who posts that a monkey, whatever, would have been the person praising him. And look at the ignorance of it. Calling us monkey. So what happened to we still have monkey, right? So what happened? Those are retarded monkeys. Why we evolve into human beings and we still have monkey out there? So you can't listen to the negativeness. Don't feed into it.
Yeah. Well, do you know, I'm really glad you mentioned it. So I'm going to interject there because as part of my coaching, I got my own company, throughthethirds.com. Quick plug, Silbert. I hope you don't mind.
That's all right. That's cool.
Yeah. And a lot of the work I do, I teach on emotional intelligence, right? And in short, is how you perceive, use, understand, and manage your emotions.
Correct.
But there's another intelligence that I work with, which is called cultural intelligence. And it's another step up from leadership. So a lot of leaders and really excellent leaders like Gareth Southgate, they use a lot of emotional intelligence in their interactions with their players. Seeing how he interjected and basically hugged Saka when he missed that penalty, because he saw what he displayed was a high degree of cultural intelligence. So he looked at his ability to communicate and relate to a person from another culture, and what he's done, being able to integrate that into the team. So half the team is black, half the team is white, and they just see the one team. And I think that if we can introduce more cultural intelligence, and I teach on it at university and within my company, and if we can introduce that into more leadership and into boardrooms, it's going to have more impact. And really all it is just teaching the leaders how to interject with communicate with an Asian man, with a black man, with people from diverse backgrounds. And once they have that understanding, it just makes things a little bit easier,
Correct.
Yeah. So and as you say, that's got to trickle down,
Yes.
But the environment, they have to be teachable, they have to be learnable, they have to be coachable. And if it means that they, I'll say it like this, hire me as a coach to come in and teach cultural intelligence, I'm willing to do that. But it really has to have an impact from a leadership down. And cultural intelligence, if people want to be have an education about it, is a way forward in leadership and in boardrooms.
Great. That is awesome. And emotional intelligence is the biggest thing right now. We're using that also to teach not only emotional intelligence, but bias, because we all are biased.
Yes.
My friend called me out the other day, but we all are biased in the sense that culture-wise, yes, we do see it. And we also have to, each one teach one is what I was taught in Jamaica. Each one teach one in the sense like, realize the bias and realize the next person. It's very uncomfortable conversation that we have with our neighbors. I have a lot of Caucasian friends, and it's a very, very uncomfortable conversation that we are having. We're teaching bias in our hospital. We're teaching diversity and inclusion. And these are some situations that the leaders are the first one we put into training, because not only are you a leader, but when you hire, you have to be careful how you hire someone else. And this is a cultural thing, as you said, that we need to start training. And I think if you train from the top, it will trigger down. So that's great what you're doing. And put a little bias training into it too for diversity and inclusion.
There's a question, Darren and the guys, that people have been putting out there, and it's creating a lot of discussion. Should there be any boycott? They're talking about boycotting of major championship like the World Cup, and so as a way to shock it to UK, to let the UK know that they cannot afford this. But at the same time, we are finding out that it's not the majority of the Brits who think like this, because when we think about what happened with Marcus Rashford and his statue or his mural, you see the amount of people who have converged to support the work which has been done there, and the mural is being changed over. What's your thought on this point here, Darren? Should there be boycott of major championship? Is that the way forward? Does that suck it to the powers that be?
What do they mean by that? Boycott who? What?
They're talking boycotting. The black players should boycott the World Cup.
Okay.
The black players. My apologies. The black players.
Yeah, I saw some things about that. Also, like in things about the black players leaving altogether and going to play for Jamaica or for Africa and African leagues and so on and all that.
Yes.
But this, I think it come back to what I said in the beginning, that those guys who we are supporting right now, Marcus Rashford, Sterling, all these different guys, Saka, it's also about what they want. It's not, we as the fans might have our feelings and we're up in our feelings about how these guys are being treated. But these guys also have their own dreams and aspirations. Maybe they want to play for England.
Yes.
Maybe they want to play in the World Cup. Maybe from a child they've wanted to, their dream has to be to play for England. So who am I to tell them to not to do what they want to do? Nobody's going to tell me that in my personal life. So I think it's very easy for us to say that, all of you should boycott, all of you should do this, all of you should do this. And it's like, it's not that easy. Because maybe these guys, they love their other colleagues that they play with. We're white, Italian, whatever, black, Spanish. They enjoy their football. They enjoy playing with their colleagues in their teams. And this is their life.
Yes.
And for us to just, try to make it as it's such an easy thing to say, don't play for England or don't play for Man United or don't play for this. It's just like, it's not that easy. It's very easy for us to say that. But if we were Premier League football players now, and that was our career, our livelihood, what we've worked for all our lives to achieve, are we just going to say, I'm not playing for England? And bear in mind, you're not saying don't play for England because of Gareth Southgate. Maybe because how Gareth Southgate has treated them.
Yes.
Gareth Southgate has shown love to these players.
Yes.
So are they going to say we're not going to play for England because of what some fans did? You see? So this is the conflict. It's like, if Gareth Southgate was treating these guys badly and the English management and all these different people, I'd be 100% on it. I would be saying, the guys who are the British team management cannot treat you like this, but not for the sake of some fans. I can't really get with that personally.
Agreed.
Ryan, what do you say about that point there? I mean, should they go to the Caribbean League? African League?
No, I'm not going to. I mean, no, I don't think. Listen, I was born in England, born in East London, raised in East London, studied in East London, worked in East London, lived in East London. I'm currently head of football at the University of East London. And I don't think, if you said to me on a lower scale, on a lower level, that if we receive racist abuse, that I should lead my team off the pitch and boycott all the tournaments that my team plays in, or the team that I oversee play in. I don't think that's the way forward, unless there was a danger to their life. Okay, a danger to their life. If there's no danger to their life, there has to be a way that we can get together and be protected. I remember a chief executive said to me once, Ryan, how are you in my, because I've got high dreams. I want to coach and manage at the highest level, and I'm on a journey. And how are you going to get past racism in football? And I said, well, with the support of the powers that be, and there's a lot of work that's been done by England, by people in high places, and kick it out. And there's a lot been work. I'm not saying whether it's been effective or not, but a lot of work has been done to increase the awareness. So I don't think that boycotting is going to be the answer. I think if you said to me, Ryan, listen, I would love to coach Jamaica, I'd love to work for Guyana, my mum's team, and so on and so forth, my mum's country, but, would I boycott my quest to work in the Premier League or be a coach in the Premier League to go manage in a league in Guyana that hasn't got the infrastructure to support the qualities that I've worked 25 years for, getting an academic education and professional experience.
Yeah.
You know, it's very difficult. I've worked with high, unbelievable players. I've got players who I've scouted and coached, in the Premier League, who are playing in the Premier League now, in the Championship. You know, am I going to say, look, guys, you guys are playing in the Premier League, but now you've got to go play in Guyana or in Jamaica? It's going to be very difficult. Am I going to say that to my son, who wants to be a coach like daddy, you know, or wants to be a professional footballer? You know, we're going to quit here. We're going to it's very difficult. And what message does that send out if I actually retire from this country because somebody has said something to me and I haven't got the wherewithal or the strength within to be able to cope and manage that? And I remember going to a football ground, so I can keep going.
That's okay.
I remember
Let's keep talking.
yeah, okay, you know, and I remember my first ever game was going to watch John Barnes play. And I won't say the club or the team or anything else, but I saw the abuse he got. Yeah, I saw the abuse he got. And did it stop me from loving football? No. But did I gravitate to a team that I can see like-minded and like-faced people? Yes, I did, naturally, because you know, I had to go through that experience, and I went from my own experiences as a footballer and young man growing up in East London. You know, it's tough. These days, it's different. There is internet, there is exposure, there are cameras. You know, it's probably the most. You know, they've got cameras everywhere. So it's probably one of the most high secure places in the world. Security is high everywhere. So for me, I don't think boycotting is the answer. I think that you know, some kind of, there has to be some kind of cost, but we have to sit down and look at how we can support. You know, how is Gav going to not just support and hugging him, but how is he going to have consistent support?
Yes.
Consistent education. You know, they're already down because they lost the final. You know, so how can we move away from them as human beings? And how can we consistently support them? So I don't think it's the right answer, really.
Before I wrap up, Vita, in the States, when it talks about suck it to the powers that be, do you think pull back or advance is the best way forward?
Boycotting will not work. And what will these young men, what the coach of them does in that situation is push his chin up and said, wake up, because this is just the start. You're 19. You have a lot more of this you need to embrace it and make it motivate you to be more powerful. So going forward, this is a start for their life. They're very, very young. So this is a start for them. So they have to, as we say in Jamaica, they have to toughen up. They need thick skin to say, this is nothing. They could have been driving here, kill, shoot, whatever. That's what we're facing. They need to toughen up and move on, and boycotting will not help it. And on that note, I have to go. Bye-bye.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Vita, for tuning in from the States. Much appreciated. Okay, guys. Darren, in wrapping up now, what's your take now? What's your word of, what should I say, way forward that you believe that as the Black community in the UK should really be thinking than to be reactive? I think we are very reactive people. We are a very reactive community.
Yeah, I think what we can do, all we can do from afar, because we don't know these guys personally, we don't have, you know, contact with them. All we can do is support them as much as we can out, whether it's, you know, like for instance, as I said, Saka has over 250,000 people commenting on his thing. You have to make it that if he goes to his Instagram today and he's feeling down and he looks at the Instagram, he's not going to find a negative comment, because there's a millions of comments of people shedding love to him, and just drown out the few, you know, bad ones, because we're never going to be able to, as I said, stop those ones. Someone can create a fake account tomorrow. As they get blocked, they create another one. So what do? You're going to be stressed out your whole life. So I think what we can do is support them, and support them by, number one, also not making one tweet become a million tweets. And we just bury these guys, you know, and focus on the positive message to these guys about how well they did in the tournament. Don't even talk about the missed penalty. Let's talk about the achievement for like a 19-year-old to make it, even to make it to the team, is an achievement in itself. To make it to the English national team at 19 years old. You know what I mean? What more do you don't even need any more after that. It's like that in itself is an achievement. And to make it to first team, you know what I mean? And to make it to the finals. And you got the World Cup coming next year. Let's support these guys, encourage these guys for the World Cup. And these guys can, as the lady said, they got a bright future. This is only the beginning. And if you can get through something like this, because to be honest, if we're real, this is tough. You know, this is tough to make it to the final, number one, and to miss a penalty, and to, you know, it doesn't get any tougher than that. So if they can get through this, they can get through anything, you know. So I think that we just support them. And you know, I never heard Saka's name before in my life. I'm not into football like that. But now I've seen the guy and I like the guy already. You know, I follow him and everything. So it's like he's got lots of more supporters who didn't even know he existed, and we're now going to support him. You know, so I think that's all we can do. And, you know, let's drown out these people, man. You know what I mean? Let's drown them out, you know?
Yeah. I can't hear you, Silborn.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes. When I saw Saka walking out there, I said to myself, wow, world upon him. And how many people can actually achieve that and be there? That's a massive achievement just by itself. And guess what? As you rightly said, he's 19. I mean, he has experienced something now. He can only be better. With the right coaching and the right influence around him, he can only be better, and he's going to be a powerhouse, a powerful lion. Ryan, your last word, please, as to what the way forward, how
for me, and you said a word there, it's about coaching, but it's not just coaching on the pitch, it's coaching off the pitch. I think the way forward, you know, as an example, is about education, about educating these players, embedding cultural intelligence and emotional intelligence into the system, into the FA. For me, it's you know, I look at, and you're right what you said, Darren, you know, and that's in line with research that I look in positive psychology, where 3 positive emotions and words will undo 1 negative emotion. All right, so the more positivity we can input and invest into our players and these players, they're going to see the love, and you're going to find that it will undo the negative emotions that need. But you know, they will forgive. They may not forget, but they will forgive. But they'll become more aware. You know, so I look at things like positive emotions, engagement, relationships, purpose, and achievement, and to embed that into football, I believe, is the way forward. And if we can increase the positive emotions, it's going to cause them to have better engagement, more improved relationships, which means they're going to be finding their purpose and succeeding. And that's where the achievement. England, will they have a chance to win the World Cup? Listen, they've got to semi-final recently. They got to final. You know, the future is bright. Look at England's for Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, Saka. You know, there's so many players who've got huge potential, and you got players at Arsenal and so on and so forth. So for me, it's the future's bright. England are very lucky to have this Phil Foden. You know, they've got these, you know, incredible Jack Grealish, incredible footballer. You know, so England have got all these players. I think that they would have learned some real positive lessons, to take the lessons from this experience, and how can I use it to move forward? And I think that's really key to help these guys move forward, really.
Well, listen, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on and actually just addressing this issue and just giving a perspective. Ryan, great work you're doing. And of course, one day we'll have to have a discussion as to all the different things that you're doing there. Gordon Boateng, I know he's on the field just like you guys were recently. He was supposed to come on. I said to him, it'd be great if he could come on while he was on the field, but that's a challenge for you guys, isn't it? You got to focus with the young guys then while you're there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Darren, thank you so much as well for speaking up, because I believe that it is important that we also share different voices and different perspective, because I believe very strongly, especially for the Black community in the UK, we have got to be very proactive and not being reactive. And I've not on my page posted any or repeated any or shared any of that tweet. All I've been doing is just posting the positive aspects of that young man, because my view is that, and I'm sure you'll agree, by simply saying this, we are the mainstream media where we can determine what we want to see, because there's power now at our fingertips. Just as how that racist geek posted that thing and everybody's sharing it. Can you imagine if we just post these positive things? But Darren, you and I know positive things don't get shared that easily.
Yeah, I know. It's human nature, man. It's human nature.
It's human
we gravitate towards the negative, but it's so it is. But
yeah,
yeah.
Stillborn, I'll add in, if people want to find out about some of the work I do,
yes, please,
around intelligence, then you can contact me on my social media handle at RGG Coach, company, or hit me on my website www.throughthethirds.com. So 3 keys to success: people, passion, and performance.
Yeah, and definitely when you can just ping that to me, and I can always put it on the page as well, and you can actually go back onto this thread on YouTube and Facebook, because it will be shared all over again. Ryan, all right? So,
yes, sir.
Thank you very much for that, and all the best. Okay, sir.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Take care. Ryan, Darren, listen, Bridget, thanks so much for that. We got more conversation to talk. This is just a start. I think we have to do some weekly discussions on some serious topical issues in the UK, just to dissect as much information. All right.
Yeah. No problem.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Peace out. Bye. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you so much for joining, and it was what should I say? Very nice. What should I say? Chilled show. It's a very chill show this evening. We're just having these discussions on topic. Those on Instagram, you may see that you weren't able to see everything properly, because we use a frame in order to do this. So you are seeing different things there, but we're always there. So sorry about that for Instagram, why you weren't actually seeing it. It's a new sort of thing that we're doing as well. Okay, so without further ado, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Simburn TV. And remember, as much as possible, Thursday night we have in review with the reviewing top news with Dr. Burton, Anthony Francis, and who knows, we may get a couple other persons, maybe even get Darren or Ryan to come back on, if anything, to look at that. And Saturday night we have the late one, not the late one, Spill, Talk and Sip, where you can come on to Instagram and we have a good discussion. This topic, I believe, is going to be continuing. There's another big topic about the UK also stopping giving funding. I think a cut of £4 billion, if anything like that. Serious money, as much as possible. So, so have a good night and God bless you. Peace out.